Most thieves enter through doors or windows. But today we're going to see a thief of a different kind, a thief who descends on his targets from above, from the ceiling. The problem is, you're going to sympathize with someone you're 1,000,000% sure is a thief. Until the police came, and indeed the employees took their jackets, he locked them inside, took the money, and escaped. This thief, who was known as Roofman, turned out to be one of the most wanted thieves in America at that time. Although the police didn't know who he was or could identify him, they knew the method he used to execute all his operations. He always entered his targets from the ceiling. Roofman was very focused on McDonald's branches. The reason was that usually McDonald's branches had great similarity and the same design, and he became familiar with everything about them. McDonald's employees, who were present during his operations, described him as fast, precise, and aware of every step he took. The man planned his operations professionally. At the same time, all witnesses testified that he was kind and friendly. According to estimates, this thief stole from more than 40 McDonald's branches over 3 years in different states. As I told you, in all the states, the description of him was very smart, and actually no one could catch him. But as they say, even the clever slip up, and not every time does the jar survive. This thief made a mistake in the operation I told you about at the beginning of the video. In this operation, Roofman left the restaurant after locking the employees in the refrigeration room. But this time he made a mistake. He didn't close the refrigeration room door properly. Either this time or one of the employees had a spare key with him. In both cases, the employees were able to get out of the refrigeration room quickly and call the police. The police quickly surrounded the entire area. Roofman raised his hands, threw his weapon and the bag he had with him, and surrendered. After the police investigated him, they learned his real name was Jeffrey Manchester. Now, this Jeffrey grew up in the suburbs of California. When he turned 18, he joined the Army. Because of his high abilities and skills, he was selected to be part of the Special Forces. But during one of the military operations, the criminals caught Jeffrey and used him as a scapegoat to negotiate with the Army. After that, they reduced his rank from private first class to reserve private, and this affected his pride. In 1996, he started his professional life as a thief and continued the theft operations he was doing for 3 years until they caught him in 1999. In each area for a certain period, then he would disappear, and then his operations would reappear in a new area. This was what was driving the police crazy and leaving them confused. But after the investigation, they understood that Jeffrey's movements from state to state were because he was working with the Army. During the 3 years he was working as a thief, he was still working with the Army, and the Army would periodically transfer soldiers from state to state for training. Anyway, they sentenced Jeffrey to 45 years in prison. Of course, the sentence for him was a life shock, because he was still 27 years old. In any case, they sent Jeffrey to a prison in North Carolina called Brown Creek Correctional to serve his sentence. There, Jeffrey was the model prisoner. For 4 years, he didn't make a single mistake. As we know, prisoners who have good conduct and comply with prison rules and don't make any problems get their sentences reduced. But believe me, this wasn't Jeffrey's goal at all. Jeffrey only wanted to get out of there by any means. Sometimes Jeffrey would hear the sound of a truck parking at the prison workshop. This truck would bring materials and things and unload them in the garage, then leave. For him, working in this garage meant being closer to this truck and being able to escape in it. That's why he submitted a request to the prison administration to give him permission to work in the workshop. Of course, Jeffrey's good behavior and conduct in prison convinced the prison administration to agree to his request. As soon as he started working in the workshop, he started paying attention and following the truck's schedule when it comes, when it goes, and what protocols are followed by the guards when the truck comes. The truck would come once or twice a week in the morning, depending on the order. After they unloaded the required items from it, and to ensure no one was hiding in it before it left, they would search it completely, open all the doors, open it from behind, and see if anyone was hiding among the items. It seemed impossible to escape in this truck unless, as they say, he disappeared. So Jeffrey started thinking of a way to deceive the guards' eyes. One day, he went down under the truck quickly and took measurements of the iron supports, what we call the chassis. and started working on making a wooden board he could hang between the iron bars from underneath. Indeed, he made it, painted it black, and also got 2 pieces of strong cardboard and painted them black. He knew how the police searched the truck from underneath, and how they used mirrors to see if anyone was hanging themselves under the truck or not. That's why he painted the wood and cardboard to cover himself from both sides, from his head and from his feet. Anyway, he was waiting for the right time to execute his plan. On the 15th of June 2004, the right opportunity came from heaven. The sky was raining heavily, and it was scheduled for the truck to come that day. Jeffrey knew he didn't have a better opportunity than this to escape in it. As soon as the guards turned their faces away from the truck, he hung the wooden board between the iron bars, lay on it, put a piece of cardboard in front of his head and one in front of his feet. After a while, the truck driver returned after unloading the items. Now he had to do the routine inspection before leaving. That day they were in a hurry, because, as we said, the weather was bad with heavy rain. The guards quickly checked inside and then outside, checked the truck from underneath with the mirror, and didn't notice anything strange, because the truck from underneath is already black in color, and he painted the wood black and covered himself with the cardboard he had, so nothing showed. Jeffrey stayed on the wooden board until the truck left the prison and got away from it. Then he jumped from it. This is how Roofman was the first one able to escape from Brown Creek Prison since they built it. The prison guards never expected something like this to happen. Actually, they didn't know he escaped immediately. It took them some time, and as soon as they found out, they reported to the city police and deployed officers throughout the area. But Jeffrey had already disappeared by then. The police said he might return to his birthplace in California because his family was there. But contrary to all expectations, Jeffrey decided to stay in North Carolina in a city next to the prison. The city was called Charlotte, only a few kilometers from the prison. Now, all that you missed and what will come to you again. As soon as Jeffrey arrived in the city of Charlotte, he entered a toy store, I think you all know it, called Toys R Us. He entered the store like any regular customer, but he was thinking about where he could hide in a place where no one could reach him. This store was very large. As he was wandering around, he saw a cabinet with merchandise displayed in it, placed against the wall. It appeared there was a small space behind it. As if God brought it to him, this was the best place for him to hide. It was impossible for anyone to see him unless they moved the cabinet from its place. Indeed, he squeezed himself in there and stayed there until they closed the store. Then he came out and took everything he wanted from the store. The store was a toy store, but, as they say, this branch was like a big mall, and they had everything. He took blankets, a bed, baby food, and everything from there. The second important thing he did was he wanted to see the cameras. He wanted to make sure about the place where he was sitting if anyone could see him and what were the appropriate times he could go out. Of course, he was able to enter the manager's office, and there he found the system and the employees' work schedule. This way he knew all their movements and knew how to turn the cameras on and off, what angles the cameras covered, and from the employees' work schedule he knew their names, their work shifts, what tasks they had, and what they did in the store. All this information helped him live there as long as possible without them discovering he was living with them in the store. Jeffrey stayed hidden there in the same place we talked about, behind the cabinet, and only came out at night after the employees left. He knew the police were everywhere searching for him everywhere, so he didn't want to risk in any way. He kept patient, eating the children's food available in the store. Don't forget he was in a toy store, so he had many things to occupy himself with. Time passed, and imagine he lived in the store for 4 full months. Now, his feeling was like living in prison, but he didn't want to leave there until he had a studied plan so he wouldn't get caught. At that time, the year was about to end. You know a place like Toys R Us, how crowded and full of customers it would be. If Jeffrey stayed there, there was a big chance he would get caught, so he decided this was the right time to look for a new place. Next to the toy store was a very large electronics store called Circuit City. This electronics store was closed, and they had moved it to a new location. It was completely empty. Of course, there was a shared wall between it and the toy store. Jeffrey went up to the roof of the toy store and kept walking until he reached the roof of the electronics store. Of course, he had brought tools with him from the maintenance room at the toy store and used them to make an opening in the ceiling of the electronics store. He went down to the store, and there he found an amazing place to hide stairs with an empty space underneath, closed from all sides with boards painted the same color as the walls. He moved one of the boards and entered under the stairs. The place was small, dirty, and dark, but it was excellent for hiding. Jeffrey cleaned the place and was able to connect electricity for himself from the toy store. He was also able to make a path between the electronics store and the maintenance room at the toy store, instead of constantly going back and forth via the roof. He found a place under the shelves in the maintenance room at the toy store and made an opening in the wall. This way, he had a secret passage he could enter and exit as he pleased. Of course, this small place under the stairs became his paradise, because after he got electricity to it, he brought the bed, lights, and a screen he used to spy on the toy store employees, because he took surveillance cameras designated for children and put them in strategic places throughout the toy store. Basically, he made a complete surveillance system away from sight. But after a few months of this isolation, he started feeling bored. Months had passed since his escape from prison, and he said surely things had calmed down and the police weren't searching for him like before. So he decided to start going out of his room. But before going out, he shaved his beard and fixed himself up so no one would recognize him. This was the first time Jeffrey went out on the street since the moment of his escape from prison. He was very happy to be going out, coming and going. But after a while, he needed money. He wanted to enter stores and restaurants and know how to live. At that time, he decided to rob the toy store. But this time, instead of stealing toys, merchandise, and food from there, he had to steal cash. He knew the money was in a safe in the manager's room in the store, so he had no choice but for it to be an armed robbery operation. But he didn't have a weapon. However, during the period he was going out, he saw a gun store, and the store wasn't too far from the place where he was hiding. He went back to his room, prepared himself, and at 2 a.m. came out of his hideout and went to the gun store. As usual, he made an opening from the ceiling, went down to the store, stole 4 pistols, and returned to his hideout at the electronics store. On the 28th of November 2004, in the early morning hours before the employees arrived at the store, Jeffrey wore a mask, took his weapon, went down to the store, and as usual, after they entered the store, he came out to them and asked them very calmly that no one move and everyone get on the floor. Then he asked the manager to open the safe for him and give him all the money in it. After he took the money, he ran toward the rear emergency exit in the store and opened the door. This made the fire alarm go off, but he didn't exit through this door. He wanted to deceive and mislead them and make them think he exited through this door. But he went back to the maintenance room and came out through the opening that led him to the electronics store. The employees, of course, called the police immediately. They didn't ask him much about the matter. For a while, Jeffrey was enjoying his life, but then he started getting tired of the lying. How long was he going to live in this room at the electronics store? Surely the store wouldn't stay closed forever. So he decided he had to leave the place and get out. But he had to do one last robbery. He planned to do everything like the first time, but this time things didn't go the way he wanted. His overconfidence that he was used to this work made him make a stupid mistake. The operation this time wasn't precise like the first time. He was watching the employees in the first hour of the shift and was waiting for the right opportunity for them all to be gathered in one place so he could threaten them together. He kept watching until he saw the right moment. Then he entered the store, carrying his weapon, raised the weapon at them, and was speaking to them calmly. No one move. But suddenly, an employee appeared from behind him, whom he hadn't seen. Here Jeffrey got scared and ran away. He forgot to open the rear emergency door, and the alarm didn't go off. When the police arrived, the employees told them everything, and that Jeffrey ran inside, but was surely still in the store. This time, the police searched the store very carefully. When they reached the maintenance room, they found the hole in the wall between the two stores. They entered through the hole and started searching the abandoned electronics store. Of course, everyone was shocked by Jeffrey's secret room and the things they found in it. But Jeffrey wasn't there. He had seen everything. And when he sensed there was danger to his presence, he escaped. The police were immediately able to identify him from his fingerprints on the things in the room. They knew he was the same prisoner who escaped from prison a while ago. Immediately, they printed thousands of copies of his photo, wrote his name on them, and distributed them throughout the city. After a short period, the people he met at church saw the pictures and recognized him. They told the police they knew him, and that he had told them his name was John Zara. They told them he loved someone named Lee. The police went to Lee's house, talked to her about the situation, and told her everything. They told her, "Your boyfriend is one of the most wanted thieves in all of America." At first, she refused to believe them. But after the police showed her old newspaper articles with his photo from when he escaped from prison, she believed them. She told them she would help them with everything, and told them she was supposed to meet him that night. Jeffrey was very confident and sure the police could never catch him. In his view, the police didn't even know who they were looking for. But Jeffrey loved the girl and was going to tell her that the intelligence agency assigned him a mission very far away and that he might not be able to see her. As soon as he arrived at her house at night, he rang the bell and was surprised that the ones who opened the door for him were police. And they surrounded him from all sides and caught him. Before the police took him, he asked them to speak with his girlfriend for the last time. He apologized to her, told her he loved her, and told her he was afraid if she knew his criminal past she would leave him. The girl remained silent and didn't say a word. In an interview with her, she said she didn't hate him but was upset with him at that time. Jeffrey was returned to prison after 7 months of freedom, but this time they sentenced him to 47 years in a maximum security prison. The thing everyone who knew Jeffrey's story agreed on was that the sentence was very exaggerated. Many people sympathized with him and said, in the end, he didn't kill anyone. There are people who killed, and their sentences were lighter than this. Because of Jeffrey, many people criticized the sentences and said they weren't fair. What do you think about the matter? Write to me in the comments and tell me if you liked the story or not, and how satisfied you are with the channel lately. And I'll see you in a new video.